You have trained for years, but under real pressure, your techniques fall apart. That is not a failure of effort, it is a failure of teaching. Here is why. Compare a neurosurgeon and a fifth-degree black belt. Both have invested roughly 15,000 hours. The surgeon follows a structured sequence: pre-medical sciences, medical school, residency with progressive responsibility. Each phase builds on conceptual foundations. The black belt learns stances, forms, and compliant drills. Principles, the reasons behind techniques, arrive late or not at all. This difference reveals a flaw in martial arts education. You train for performance under dojo conditions, not for application in unpredictable situations. The surgeon can adapt to new cases because you understand underlying principles. You, as a martial artist, often cannot adapt because you only know procedures. That is the core problem. Traditional martial arts emerge from master-apprentice relationships where masters withheld principles to maintain authority. In European guilds and Asian martial traditions, teachers taught procedural skills first and saved theoretical understanding for advanced students, or never taught it at all. This made sense when martial knowledge meant power. But as martial arts became modern education, this hoarding continued without justification. Techniques became rituals, not applied science. During political suppression, like Japanese occupation of Korea, martial arts survived as cultural practices disguised as exercise. Motions remained, but the conceptual framework for application disappeared. You now learn forms preserved as artifacts, not functional methods. This history explains why your training may lack practical combat logic. Cognitive science separates procedural knowledge, knowing how, from declarative knowledge, knowing why. Effective skill development builds both together. Traditional dojo training emphasizes procedural memory for specific techniques, but neglects declarative understanding. Under stress, you default to these procedural patterns, even when they are inappropriate. This explains why you freeze or perform wrong techniques in novel situations. You have context-bound procedural knowledge without the principles needed for adaptation. A 2021 study found that traditional martial artists showed minimal development of conceptual frameworks after years of training. Your knowledge stays organized around specific techniques, not around combat principles. You need both how and why to respond effectively. The corrective framework is concept-first training. You learn principles before techniques. For example, you learn the concept of structure, how to align your body to generate and absorb force, before you learn a specific block or strike. You learn the concept of distance management before you practice footwork patterns. This sequence mirrors medical and engineering education. You build a mental model first, then attach techniques to that model. When you understand why a technique works, you can adapt it to changing conditions. You do not need to memorize endless variations. You apply principles to generate appropriate responses. This approach produces practitioners who can think under pressure, not just perform rehearsed sequences. Here is how you apply this in training. Start with a principle: control the center line. You learn what the center line is and why controlling it gives you advantage. Then you practice a technique, a straight punch, that uses that principle. You drill the punch, but you also drill variations, stepping off the center line, striking to different targets, dealing with opponent reactions. You do not just repeat the same motion. You explore the principle through multiple techniques. This builds declarative understanding. When you face a new situation, your brain accesses the principle, not a fixed technique. You generate movement from understanding, not from memory. This is how you train for application, not performance. The black belt illusion describes advanced rank without corresponding combat capability. You earn rank by memorizing forms and performing drills with compliant partners. But rank does not measure your ability to apply skills under stress. To break this illusion, you must test your training against resistance. You spar with full contact. You drill with non-compliant partners. You practice in unpredictable scenarios. You evaluate yourself on outcomes, not on form. You ask, did I control the distance? Did I maintain structure? Did I exploit the center line? If you cannot answer yes, you need more concept training, not more technique repetition. Rank should reflect capability, not time served. Stop memorizing techniques. Start understanding principles. Train concepts first, and your skills will work when you need them most.